Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, because I don't know whether you understand the stuff and all. Okay. So today is the third session of the subject. So we are going to discuss managing business environment. We won't be able to do the whole lesson today because we have to start by 1:50 since the power cut. Okay, the latter part I'll record and upload. So if you have any clarifications on the subject, you know my WhatsApp number, you can WhatsApp. Okay. So here I'm assuming that you have never learned about business environment, and this is very easy lesson, and you might get so much of experiences and stuff to share, and we will share when we are learning, like we are talking on the latter parts. Okay. So as you all know, business operates in unique environment and cannot function in isolation. So every business affects by the environment as well as the environments, like the business affects the environment affects the business. So no any business can operate isolation. They have to deal with the environment. So in terms of environment, like in terms of like the government or legal procedures, sometimes like political scenarios, technological environment. Likewise, we have the external environment. We will discuss about the factors in external environment. And also the internal environment of an organization, like the employees, their owners, and the internal resources of the organization. So it's internal environment. So we can't avoid these both external environment and internal environment when you do a business. Okay, if you are involved in business or if you are working in organization, you can see the organization cannot set up their vision, mission, not thinking about the environment. They are, and only they are developing the strategies. Okay. So, you know, business is an open system that continuously interact with the environment. So this open system is where, you know, input, process, and output. That is an open system which is not closed. It's open to the environment. So when it comes to a business, open system, it has inputs from the environment, might be financial resources, might be informational resources, might be human resources, any kind of things, inputs to the business. Okay, those are just resources like materials, raw materials, anything, input. And the process is where you do processes. If you are involved in a business which gives a service, so you have a process. Like our university, we have a process in the middle to give the output. So this is the output. Okay, so like you are graduating, it's the output of our university. So this is the process. We input you as well as the lecturers, their information resources, financial resources, everything as inputs. And then it's as a process, teaching, administration, doing presentations, anything, it's the process. And then we have an outcome. You are graduating and you are going to the society. That means the environment. So that's why business, we considered it as an open system where continuously interact with the environment. අපිට environment එක avoid කරන්න බැහැ business එකක් කරනකොට මොනවම හරි වෙලාවකට at any point of time in the life cycle of a business, you have to interact with the environment. If I defined a business, you might have done up to now, but for the introduction, I'll tell you, it's an entity that aims to conduct commercial enterprises. This is about profit orientation companies or businesses, to conduct a commercial enterprise by provide goods or services to customers. But there might be business organizations where they aims at providing goods and services, but it's not a commercial enterprise. That might be a non-profit organization. Okay, where mostly they think about the society and support some more services to the society. So anywhere, it's an entity where at the end of the day, they provide a service or a good to the customers that can be profit oriented as well as non-profit oriented. And these business enterprises are surrounded by an environment where we say it as a business or organizational environment. So this environment is a collection of all individuals, entities, and other factors which may or may not be under the control of the organization. That's really important because this environment, sometimes the organization can control, but some of the stuff the organization cannot control. We will discuss what are those that affects the performance, profitability, and growth and the survival of any business organization. So we are going, like, this is managing business environment. So it's about profit oriented organizations at the end of the day. So there is the environment factors are there where a business can control. And there are some factors like individuals or mostly in the internal environment, there is up to an extent an organization can control. But an organization, they have a lack of control over the external environmental factors. Okay? So ultimately what happens is this environment affects the performance, profitability, growth, and even survival. Can someone give me an example for this? How this environment affects the performance, profitability, growth, and the survival of an business organization? Can someone tell me an example for this? Anyone?
Ma'am, like in a business environment, if we take as a government,
Yeah.
then the present time in the economic crisis, they are increasing the prices. And
Yeah.
definitely that affects the performance of the business. And
Profitability, growth, and survival as well. It's a very good example, obviously, because there are small, like in Sri Lanka, the majority of problem goes rather for big. Every organization is facing a problem due to these economic factors and economic crises and government policies and government instability. So these are external factors which the organization have less control. So then especially these small and medium-sized organizations have an issue on growth, rather survival. Some organizations has to stop, closure their business because of this bad economic and political condition. So that's what I say you, the environment has a huge impact on the business organizations. So why we, well, like, what is the importance of this business environment? Because it gives you, okay, to identify or determine the opportunities and threats. We get this from the external environment, okay? External environment shows us the opportunities to grow our business, as well as they give us threats. We will do a scanning, we will do an activity if the time permits, and then you'll see how these opportunities and threats comes to the different business. And also it gives direction for growth. Like if, as I told you, if the political stability is there, if the fiscal and monetary policies supports to the business, it grow the business sector in a country. And also continuous learning, because if you are scan the environment continuously, you learn how your competitors work, what competitors do. Okay. This can be applied for non-profitable as well. This environmental scanning for every business environment. The non-profit organizations also having competitors. They also has to undergo with the government regulations, technological advancements. So even though the organization is a profit oriented or a non-profit oriented business, this business environment theories applies. Okay. So when you're scanning the environment, you see how the other businesses work, how the other business alters their strategies, how they like face to this kind of economic condition. You learn from them. Okay, so that's why continuous learning. And also, when you see the environment, you see what is your image, where are you, what is an opportunity that you can see, what are the threats. Then after analyzing all those stuff and also analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of your business internal environment, what you can do is you can have strategies to build up the image of a company. So whenever another company analyze the environment, they'll see you as a threat because your image is very high. And then, as I told you, meeting competition. And when you're analyzing the internal environment, we will discuss what is internal environment and all. So this internal environment, when you analyze it, you can identify the strengths and weaknesses of yours, of your business. So then you can like develop strategies to enhance your strengths as well as reduce your weaknesses. Okay, so that's why business environment is really important. As I told you, any business cannot live without environment, because the business environment takes the inputs from the environment and give your output to the environment. Okay, clarified or any issue?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we are going to learn about environmental scanning. Okay, you might have done environmental scanning. So what is this? What are you going to do as environmental scanning? See, it's like monitoring, evaluating, and disseminating of information from the external and internal environments to the key people within the organization. Because you know, this analysis is the guidance for you to develop strategies. Okay, you have to develop, or a business has to develop the strategies to deal with these strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, this is not the only way people do strategies, but environmental scanning, why we do that is to develop strategies to deal with them. If a company see a threat, they can develop a strategy to deal with that threat, to reduce that threat, or to make that threat as an opportunity. Sometimes people can do that. If you analyze the information, monitor it, and then you can make that threat as an opportunity. And not only that, sometimes people are like in a business, they evaluate, understand the weakness, and they reduce it and sometimes turn it into a strength as well. Okay, so for that, this environmental scanning is really important. And not only to scan, monitor, and evaluate, but the people who are doing, especially with the higher staff, what they have to do is they have to disseminate this information to the top positions, that then only the top positions will know what's going on in the environment. Okay, that is a huge problem in a country like us. You know, sometimes we know the political parties in the top positions say that we don't know what's going on. So what has happened is, might people have done environmental scanning, but the real right information at the right time, okay, right information at the right time has not been passed to the top positions. And then when they are trying to take a decision, everything has been happened. So the decisions are in vain. So because of that, the scanning has to do in advance, and also It has to disseminate nattang information. It's a must to pass it to the top management. It's really important. Okay. So obviously, when we see an environment, as I told you, there is internal environment as well as external environment. Abhyantara ha bahira. External environment is a group of factors or conditions that are outside the organization, but affect in some extent and no control over them. Okay. So external environment in different books, you know, we are referring to the Richard Daff's book and Robbins management book. And there are several management books. So there are the people, the authors have defined like the factors identified in external environment as task environment, general environment and all. I'm going to discuss the general environment because that is the basic, like the common environmental factors analyzed by most of the authors as external environment. So that is like the factors that are outside of the organization. It affects some extent. Eliye tibunata affect the business, but the business has no control over them. You know, political environment, economical environment, environment, the organization has no control over them, but they influence the business. Okay. So if we do a external environment analysis, what you can identify is, as I very correctly say in the previous slide, opportunities and threats. When it comes to internal environment, it's also a component where have various elements present inside the organization. That might be owners, might be shareholders, might be colleagues, employees. Not only that, there are many elements which are inside the organization, and it affects or can be affects the choices and activities of the organization. And here very special thing is where the organization have control over that. Like the organization, they have the control over their employees. The organization have the control over their shareholders. Okay. So the difference between this external and internal environment, both the environment affects the business organization, but external environment, the business cannot control them. But for the internal environment, the business can control. And when you are doing internal business analysis, what you can identify is the weaknesses and strengths of the organization, not opportunities and threats. When you are doing an internal analysis, what you can identify is weaknesses and strengths. This can be applicable for yourself as well. You can do a personal analysis, internal environment, internally within yourself. What are the weaknesses and strengths of yours? And then you can see the external environment and you can identify what are the opportunities and threats available for me. And then you have to develop strategies, how to improve the opportunities, how to reduce the threats, how to enhance my strengths, and how to reduce my weaknesses. So this analysis, not for like business organization, but for as a personnel, you can use for your life as well. So this business and environment analysis, we say it has very common SWOT analysis. Okay. So internal environment analysis is strengths, weaknesses you can identify. And the external environment analysis, you can identify opportunities and threats. So this SWOT analysis gives you these information. And what you can do is you have to avoid threats exploit opportunities. That means you to use opportunities. Opportunity එක දැකලා ඉඳලා වැඩක් නැහැ. Then it's in vain. If you see the opportunity, if you don't grab it, if you don't use that opportunity, then why did you do an analysis? Okay, so you have to exploit that. Then mitigate weaknesses. You have to write like mitigate, reduce, avoid, neglect, anything. Mitigate, nati karala dana. And then you have to capitalize your strengths. When you identify your strengths, your own, you have to capitalize it, market it, and you have to use it. Okay, so SWOT analysis is really important, and you have to do for that. Do something for the things that you have identified. If not, it's in vain. Okay. Anything to clarify? Anything?
No, ma'am. All clear, ma'am.
Okay. So SWOT analysis here in strengths means what do you do well? Strength එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ what do you do well? What is the best thing of yours? What unique resources can you draw on? What is the unique characteristic of yours if we see as a person? What do others see as your strengths? People will say, you have this, Ane, I don't have it. People say so. That means it's a strength of yours. Where competitors see that you have it and they don't have. Qualities that separate you from competitors. As a person, person in a business as well. Okay? In Apple company, you see what are the strengths that the Apple has, what the others cannot imitate. Strengths, internal resources, they have good technology in like engineers, this Microsoft also have. Okay, internal resources, and then tangible assets in terms of the companies, infrastructure, building. Sometimes some companies have nice infrastructure, buildings, facilities that others don't have. So it's a strength. Then weaknesses. What could you improve? What is there to improve in your organization? Might be in marketing. Your like promotional strategy is bad. So how could you improve it? Okay. Then now, where do you have fewer resources than others? Sometimes some companies don't have proper HR, proper people. You have everything, financial resources, technology, good infrastructure, but people have bad attitude. So what are the fewer resources? And then you have to find how we will improve the quality of HR, whether using a training or development program, anything. Then what are others likely to see as weaknesses? What people see weaknesses as you don't see that, but other people say, that person doesn't have that. That business organization is very bad. Likewise, people say. So from that, you can identify the weaknesses. And things your competitors do better than you. As I told you, treating employees well. That is also, others companies treat their employees well. They give better salary, better facilities, better welfare, but you don't. So that's a weakness of yours. Things your company lacks. What are the lacking areas of your company? Things you are a biscuit manufacturing company. So packaging is very bad. Okay. It's not like, not attractive, not user friendly. So it's lack of your company, but other competitors have good attractive packaging and very user friendly, easy to tear up and eat. So that's a weakness of yours. So you have to improve that, like the things that lacking in area, you have to mitigate those. Then opportunities. What opportunities are open to you? Sometimes introduce a new product, or like you have to like you see in the environment, like do a opportunity involved in online business these days. People don't go here and there. People do not physically visit, like this online purchasing has popular after this COVID and all. So it's an opportunity you see in your environment. Okay, what trends could you take advantage of? Might be online purchasing. You know, these people do if you see the Facebook and all, people do party decorations. They come, you can select the package, they come to your place, brings everything, and they decorate, and you just only have to pay. It's a trend that I have seen, might be an old trend, but if you are involved in that kind of a business, you see a trend there. Okay, so party items are with you, but you see a trend where people go to those places, houses, and do these party arrangements. Rather, people are not coming to your business office, like your store, to buy the things. Okay, then how can you turn your strengths into opportunities? As I told you, you have to identify your strengths and make it as opportunity. Then emerging needs for your products and services. Is there an emerging need? If you do want to change the product, sometimes ingredients, the flavor, you have to see that opportunity, whether like, do you want to make a product, if it's, as I told you, a biscuit manufacturing company, with a biscuit with less sugar, anything with the trend, people with healthy lifestyles, vegan lifestyles, you can try with those trends, opportunities. And then undeserved markets. If you have not tapped to some markets, as I told you, if it's a biscuit company, like the people cater people who have diabetes, or people who have changed their diets as for vegan, so people can cater. It's some kind of new opportunities you see in the environment. Okay, then threats. What threats could harm you? Like, as I like, the current situation in our country, the threats of less fuel. So what can you do for that? What is your competitor doing? What is your competitor doing? If it's a biscuit, like think about Karata Karayan, it's Maliban and Munchie. So Munchie can see what Maliban is doing. Maliban can see what Munchie is doing. So if they are doing something good, it's a threat. So you have to see what you can respond in a better way. Then what threats do your weaknesses expose to you? Okay, weakness එකකින් මොකක්ද ඔයාට එන threat එක? What's the threat? Okay, as I told you, if your packaging is very bad, so it's a weakness. What your company do lacks in designing, in this package designing, it's a weakness. So it can become a threat because it's not attractive. And emerging competitors. There are small businesses are emerging these days, but not these days. It's very rare because people are shutting down their businesses in this current scenario. But if you see in the starting point of COVID, like in 2020, there are lots of businesses have startups. Startups are very so much of startups in terms of herbal cosmetics, in terms of different as I told you, decorations and all. Likewise, there are many startups, small businesses will start. Now it's like shutting down, but I told you, emerging competitors. People can see who are the competitors emerging at. Then changing customer attitudes towards your company. It's a threat, okay? When another company attracts your customers, but the problem is where people divert, obviously, whenever the product does not serve you as you wanted, people turn it down. Okay, people go to another company. That's human beings. Or product taking, people go for another. Okay, so for an example, think about you are using a laundry liquid. Okay, so for a longer time you are using a liquid, but now you feel it's not that much of you don't get that much of a good smell from that, and you see a new product in the environment. it's a competitor, a competitive product. You buy it, the customer see that it is better than the previous product you were using. Okay, so people change the attitude. Okay, rather this, even though it's a very a brand, has a good brand name which lasts for another last 50 years, but it doesn't cater to the customer demand. Okay, what customer wants. So then the customer might alter, change the attitude and go to another company. So what you have to see is you have to see the customer attitude changes as well. Okay, so that's why this SWOT analysis is really important for a business as well as for yourself as well. Okay, any clarifications?
No, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay, so we will now go for external environment. So this is very like popular, and you know it, PESTEL analysis. So some like for 10 years ago, it's PEST analysis, then it PESTEL analysis, PESTEL analysis. So there are many like things, but there are common factors which we see. So the P is political and government environment. Okay, so this is about the government regulations at the local, state and federal levels anywhere, as well as political activities designed to influence the company behavior. So what do you think about the current scenario in Sri Lanka? Anyone? How about the political and the government environment in Sri Lanka? Anyone? මොකද හිතෙන්නේ මේ දවස්වල රටේ මොනවාද අපි කියන්නේ දේශපාලනික තත්ත්වය ගැන? Do we have political stability these days?
Unstable, madam, unstable.
Yeah, unstable political situation, it's really badly affects the businesses, because you know, as you if you have like watched in television news, the central bank governor always requested from the government is the political stability. Why he has told that there will be no investors, the IMF will not give us a loan, even they will not consider us until you make a stabilized government or a political scenario. But still we don't have such. Okay, so that impacts businesses very badly, to sell them, to invest, because the foreign countries or foreign companies will not come to invest a country which does not have the political stability. Or for like big businesses, it affects really badly. So the political stability and the political system in Sri Lanka, it's in for the current scenario, it's really negatively affecting every business in Sri Lanka. Then about the government policies, you know, it's like today it's one policy and the next week another policy changes according to the government regime changes. When new prime minister is there, the political government policy changes. When there is a new finance ministry is there, then again a policy change. This is about the unstabilized governments, unstabilized political scenarios, because they don't like stick into one policy. They don't stick into tax and financial policies, don't go for tax reforms. And the government, like you, central bank in our country has gone for new tax reforms as well as tax and financial policies to ensure like sustaining of our economic condition. They are still doing, but in the political support is very less. Okay, so you know how these taxes are changes in every goods, every services, and the tax reforms in terms of like pay tax and VAT and all, every reforms are there, then you know how it affects the businesses because they had to increase the product price because of the tax increase. So likewise, it affects the businesses. Okay, then regional political structure in Sri Lanka. Now, I don't think so. A regional political structure is going on. There's nothing is happening in Sri Lanka. So then what happens is, you know, there are no people to take the responsibility in any decision. Okay, you know, some organizations, some business organizations need some clearance from regional authorities, but nothing functions. So then they can't continue in their businesses. There are so many issues, you know, in Pradesh Lekam Karel, you know, divisional secretariat and all, people don't work, and there are no people who to give better solutions or better decisions. So those regional political structures and regulatory commissions are there. You know, we have several commissions appointed by the prime minister as well as by the president of Sri Lanka, and those commissions are not working properly. So then regulatory commissions don't give proper solutions or decisions. Then immigration policies, like what happens is where if a government, not in Sri Lanka, any country, if they have policies like giving work visa, regulations on giving work visa and all, so those are immigration policies. So if a company wants to recruit people from different countries, so you have to think on the immigration policy. This mostly matters with the multinational companies in Sri Lanka like Unilever, Nestle, Coca-Cola, like basic. There are many multinational companies, Spa and all, which recruits people from different countries for their officers because it's a multinational company. So the countries have immigration policies where to stop recruiting from different countries or to give permission, but there are regulations when issuing work permits and all. So the companies has to watch on, like do like consider these regulations when they are involving with different nationals. And declaration of emergency, you know, with the COVID and all, we declared some kind of emergencies where prohibiting people to leave home. These days also the government has declared Friday as a holiday. So most of the businesses are affecting that. So this is what political and government environment, how it affects the businesses. In the present scenario, you have like ample of examples than me. Can anyone tell me, have you experienced this political factor influence in your organization? Anyone? මේ political factor එකක් කාගේ organization එකේ business එකට බලපාපු හැටි ගැන කියන්න කවුරු හරි, anyone having an example? Anyone? Why don't you speak? Anyone? No examples? Okay. Then economic environment. So the general economic health of a country or region in which organization operates. So, you know, in Sri Lanka, we have a bad economy these days. Consumers' purchasing power is very low. That means businesses are affected because people don't have that much of a like consumption, consumable salary or a wage to purchase goods. So it affects the organizations. Then the unemployment rate is very high these days because majority of small and medium sized companies are there who closure, like do closure. They are closing down their businesses because they can't manage the businesses with these price hikes and everything. Then interest rates, and you know, Sri Lanka, we have now higher interest rates for loans and all, so people can't do investments in, like can't do infrastructure with the price hikes. the growth rate is very low. You know what is the growth rate in Sri Lanka? Per capita income in Sri Lanka is very less. People can't do savings because since the price of every goods are very high, people can't do the consumable purchasing power එක low වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ no savings. Then inflation rate, you know, I think I have seen it's about 45%, but in a foreign report I have seen it's like 300% might be. Product has increased for 3 times now. Inflation rate is very high. Import export is very less. You know how much it's hard to import even oil, petrol and diesel to a country. Ship has to wait until the government releases amount of dollars to release them from the harbor. So import is very less. The import can be done only for essential goods. Exporting is also very difficult these days because since the raw materials cannot be imported, especially, you know, garment manufacturing sector is struggling because importing raw materials is hard. Because of that, they can't finish the goods and export it. So because of that, the export is also decreased. Foreign exchange rate, obviously day by day it's increasing, but now it's about how much is a dollar now? How much is a dollar now?
360.
360. It was like 200, the 180 wage ekakkin, drastically we are seeing this 360. So see how it's really hard for people who are involved in businesses to do foreign exchange. So the productivity gets low in a country ke productivity low kiyane, that means obviously the businesses productivity is very low. Okay, so this is economic environment. Can someone tell me an example on that? Because these are very familiar for us these days, isn't it? Emanadda. Anyone? Anyone? No one? Kaatawath experiences nadda? No one is having an experience on this economic environment these days? Really? Any
As situation has been under the economic crisis now,
okay.
the price of the products has been increased, so the purchasing power was very low, very decreasing. Nobody is buying. So when we think on the business side, so they are not getting the profit. So they could not grow as they have been grown earlier.
Yeah. Very good. So every business is facing this. Every business, every single business is facing this in the current scenario. So you can obviously see how these factors affect Sri Lanka. When the inflation goes, consumption purchasing power or consumable purchasing power gets low. That means saving is low. So that then in turn, the companies don't get the profit. So then their productivity, remuneration, revenue goes low. Then obviously a country's productivity gets low. So likewise, it's a chain. Okay, so these economic environment factors that much of badly affecting the businesses in the current scenario. Then social cultural environment. So demographic characteristics like norms, customs, and values of the general population. Okay, geographical distribution, you know, in the Colombo area, people are packed. Okay, okay, I don't know, per people to a 1 cubic meter is very high in these western province. So then in the western province, businesses are previously people are we have a higher population in these areas, so the businesses can enhance their profitability. They target better towns like Colombo, I guess, in Gampaha, then Kiribati, Gampaha, then about the other provinces. Likewise, people target the city areas and do like start their business because of this geographical distribution and all. Then about the population density. Okay, then age. People, when they are like developing a product, they think about a target age. Okay, if it's about a baby product, then it's about the babies, that age. As I told you about biscuit manufacturing company, they might have a less sugar or a more fiber product to a people who above 60, about the targeting the age. And there are many products for youth in terms of eating patterns like kottumi or anything like cream soda. Those products targets the youth. So they are marketing, they are the taste, the flavor, and the colors. Everything focuses on the youth, their attitudes, their behaviors, and everything. Then about the educational levels. Okay, when giving a service, then or a product, you have sometimes people have to think about the educational levels. Can someone give me an example for educational levels, how it affects the business? Anyone? You know about the internal resources. We need quality HR. So then we need people who are educated. So then the companies look for educational levels. Okay, in the future, you know, Sri Lanka will face such a issue on these educational levels of people, because the people who have obtained higher education are leaving the country. Okay, so leaving the country for the next 2 to 3 years, most of the educated people in Sri Lanka will leave or might have left the country. The people have left, will not come back to the country. So our country will remain with people with less educational levels. So ultimately, it affects the internal quality of resources of the organization. The employees, the owners, the colleagues, and everything will less education, will have with less educational levels. Okay, frankly speaking, I think majority of your batch people are trying to leave the country. Okay, because you are youngsters, you can't see, like, can't bear, and people say that for the next 10 years we don't see a growth in Sri Lanka, so people leave. So that will affect the environment, or that will affect the businesses, because the education level, less educational levels means the company will face a problem to do their business with those kind of people. Okay, then lifestyle, how the lifestyles changes of people, especially this is target with youth, their palette, their dress patterns, everything changes. So the businesses has to see how people's lifestyle changes. These days we are doing with which living, it's a minimalized living. These days we buy the things which most matters to us. We don't go to buy things which are unnecessary. So this is also a trend which businesses can see and like grab it out, opportunity, minimalize livings. Okay, social trend, a lifestyle change. The social composition you can see in a society, in a city. If you are opening a business there, you can see how this social in this area, how people behave. Then the cultural norms. Okay, if it's a Buddhist city, then what? If it's near to people, majority are Muslims, majority are Tamils. If you go to Vellavatta, you see the difference, the shops, the products available in this Vellavatta and all. It's very like more into Tamil products and all, isn't it? People, Emanadda, isn't it? When you go to Vallavatta and those areas, don't you feel such?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that is what those people have seen the trend and this opportunity. They saw that opportunity and have grabbed. Okay, so when you goes near to Anuradhapura, Sri Mahabodhi, or to Kandy, or any like a near place in temples, then you see that culture, then there the trends and everything, and you can grab it and you can start a business there. Likewise, people do that. Okay, Onatharang, you have seen that it when it nears to a temple, there are so much of businesses which they have identified the trend and everything. If you go to Kalaniya temple, you see a small flowers baskets. Sometimes everything comes in a one package about the social trend. Those people see those shops, like the owners see how people behave, and they grab that opportunity and they offer. Okay, so an attitudes towards business. So this is about the social cultural environment. There are many factors, these are basics. Okay, at the end of the day, what the company has to analyze is how these democratic characteristics behave in a society. When you are introducing a product or a service, think about this service, postgraduate qualification, the masters of HRM. This was conducted physically, 3 to 4 years ago, total everything physical. But what has happened with the social trend and about the COVID and with these issues and all, we had to go for online. Okay, now everything is online, interviews are online, we got you to physical interviews, but still everything through WhatsApp groups. When we were undergraduates and when we were doing masters, we don't use this much of WhatsApps and all. But now with the changes, social trends and all, the businesses obviously responding to that. Okay, then technological environment. So, obviously these days with these telecommunication enhancements, where scientific and technological advancements in a specific industry as well as in the society at large. Technological development in Sri Lanka, I don't see a technological development with this enhancement of online education. Dialogue, Mobitel and SLT3 is not working. Okay, they have not advanced like go for is there anyone who is working in Dialogue, Telecom or SLT? Is there anyone? Okay, I guess no. So technological development, whether you are going to use new machineries, technological equipments, or new technological adaptation, like we are using Zoom, WhatsApp or anything. Then internet expansion, which what has been drastically happened in our country for the last 3 years. IT. Then artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, there are automated machineries in companies. In apparel sector, there are automated machineries, after you giving the design, colors and everything, you set up the machine and you give the material, that's all. The machine by itself cut and sew and give you a output, a garment. Okay, so that kind of stuff. And nanotechnology, it's very famous. We have a nanotechnological center in Homagama. And genetical technology, these are not that much famous in Sri Lanka, but still this advances in technology drive the competition, increase the competition. Like I told you, online purchasing. Because of that, every retail company, including Cargill's, Kiehl's, Apico, Labs, Gloma, everything went from online sales, from physical, physical to online. And there are so much of companies started to drive this competition through online marketings, like goods, vegetables, organic vegetables, cakes. The hotels, every hotel started businessing their cakes, bakery items through online. So the technology drives that competition. Okay, and then innovative companies can grab that opportunity and make their business a success. Okay, but some industries are there, they fail to adopt these technological shifts and they had to decline. If I tell you an example, you know, Fuji camera. Have you ever heard of Fuji camera? Isara tibunane the cameras Fuji.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they are the highest selling camera in the last, like in the previous era, because they had high marks. They see the trend and they give digital cameras and make faster than Kodak, because Kodak was the first camera we've ever seen. They didn't have digital, and Fuji identified that trend and they went with the digital cameras. But both these things, even though they have think about this technological development and advancements, and Fuji adapted to this digital camera, but these both companies didn't see something. What is that? Wireless revolution. Okay, they didn't see this wireless revolution, the Wi-Fi and all. Why? With the mobile phones, this digital camera, electronics and all embedded with the mobile phones. Okay, now what happens is Fuji and these things especially didn't see this wireless connection and mobile phones embedded with cameras. They didn't see that as a threat. Okay, then what happens is people started going with a mobile phone with a good camera, because with the wireless technology, it enables them to upload into Facebook, Instagram, or any other social media. And because of that, with these Fuji, Panasonic, Canon, Kodak cameras were outdated. They saw the technological development and adapted. But some of the technological revolution, they have avoided. They didn't care about that. They didn't think, because okay, mobile phone is with the camera, okay, but our camera is the zoom and everything is better. Okay, you know, now these mobile phones cameras also having the zoom equipments like a big camera, and this mobile photography is also trending now. Okay, that's what happens with these Fuji, Kodak, Canon, Panasonic digital cameras. Okay, so even though they see in the technological development, some of the things that they have avoided, they couldn't see the opportunity, but Samsung, Apple and all took that opportunity and become a success. Okay.
Okay, madam.
Okay. Then about the environment. Here about like the natural on earth, plants, animals, rocks, air, water, climate, the impacts of these to the organization. Now you can see, Apo, what is the impact of these plants, animals, rocks to the organization? It's a business organization and this is environment. How this environment is impacted on a business? How? How you dispose your waste? Okay, environmental protection, if you are doing air pollution, water pollution, so there are regulations on that. Energy consumption, you know, a huge problem in these days, using diesel for power and all generators are not working in universities. Okay, so the governments are like increasingly under pressure to enhance the performance of the companies, and but the companies with their businesses, they with their work, it increases the pollution and like destroy the natural resources. So the government has a pressure to like impose rules and regulations to protect the natural resources. Might be the phosphate we have in Epavala, or any like limestones in Putlam. So the government has a responsibility to protect them, even though there are businesses involved with that, but still you have to protect the environment, because you know, if not, the environment will hit you one day. That is the natural thing. Okay, so in the world, Switzerland is the top performer of using the renewable sources, the number one in the world who is using renewable resources in hydropower and geothermal energy. So Switzerland is the number one, but still Sri Lanka is nowhere there in using these renewable resources, even though people discuss a lot even to use solar panels. Still the government is reluctant on that, but still a business has to think about this environment to protect the environment. If not, the companies won't survive. Okay, so because of that, this environment also impacts. If not, we are getting droughts, we are getting flood, will get any kind of a natural disaster if the businesses don't protect the environment. Okay, because the company or the business environment has a responsibility to keep that ecological balance. That's what management of ecology. Okay, might be this COVID is also a problem of not managing ecology. Okay, because of that depletion of natural resources has created some kind of a virus or bacteria and affected back to individuals or human beings. So because of that, the business environment has a responsibility to take care of the plants, animals, rocks, air, water, climate, even though they use everything from the natural environment, but to give it back them by protecting the environment. Then about the legal environment. So each and every laws, regulations and all comes into here. Employment law to protect you employees. We have several employment acts in Sri Lanka in terms of for a permanent employee, compensation acts to protect probationary employees, to solve the industrial disputes. So there are numerous laws, acts and ordinances are available in Sri Lanka and also around the world. And about the health and safety, there are regulations given by the Labor Ministry to protect the health and safety of employees. And then about the product safety, we have authorized departments and authorities in Sri Lanka to consider the product safety. And we believe that they are like regulating on product safety. And also consumer protection laws are there in Sri Lanka, where there are, if there is any issue, obviously a consumer can sue against the company. So there are regulations in Sri Lanka, and also income taxes. So any kind of laws passed by the government for business operations are applicable here. So this is the PESTEL analysis. Okay, this is about the external environment. So analyzing this, what a company can get. A company can identify the opportunities and threats. Okay, opportunities is where the external conditions that helps to achieve the objective of your organization. If a condition in external environment helps you to achieve the objectives or vision, mission of the business, that's the opportunity. So what is a threat? Threat is a condition existed in the external environment that could damage the objective. That means does not help to achieve your objective. Okay, so after analyzing this external environment, PESTEL analysis, you will see some conditions that helps to achieve the objective and some conditions that damage your objective. And those are as threats, and the helping factors can be identified as opportunities. Okay, so that's why it's really important to do opportunities and strengths profile or analysis to identify what are these helping and unsupporting factors in the external environment. So I have an activity for that, but the problem is time is not supports me. Topic of this slide, page number 13. Look at the page number 13. Okay.
It was mentioned strength and
Yeah.
opportunities and
Opportunity
strength.
and strengths. Yeah, it has to be threats. Okay, a typing mistake. Sorry, and thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah. But the problem is the time is no more with me. So you have an example to do. Mokada karan example ek karanada then. Or is it tired? Okay, I have like uploaded in this. Okay. So what is the example that you have to do is you have to do a opportunities and threats profile to a company engaged in retail business. That means Cargills, Apiko, Mangikatte, it's really very familiar to you since you are doing marketing and all for yourself. So then you can do a opportunities and threats profile according to the environmental factors. Okay. If I say an example, like for an opportunity for a retail business, like involving online sales, given a widespread coverage in the business. Okay. Or adding more brands to the existing product portfolio. Okay. And then as a threat for a retail business, you know, there is intense competition by other big retail clients, as well as there are small retail businesses out there who do online business. It's a huge threat, a competition. Okay. And also a threat in these days because of these people's minimalized living style. They don't go for higher brands and all. They just want to fulfill their like basic needs. Okay. So those are just few examples. Okay. So likewise, you can do a threats opportunities profile and analyze the environmental, external environmental factors for a retail business. Okay. So for the internal environment, what shall I do is I will record the session and upload. Is it okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll record the internal environment part and upload it, and then you can listen to it. If you have any issues, clarifications, no problem. You can forward it through WhatsApp as a private message. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much for waiting about 1.5 hours for me. Okay. I appreciate that. And if you have anything to improve from my side, you can put it in the chat box to direct message to me. Any further improvements of mine from the next session. If you have something like that, you can put a direct message for me as a feedback. So I don't know whether I'm going to do the next session, but we'll see. So thank you very much for waiting for me. And thank you very much for joining the session. Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.